All right, so today we're going to talk about how to do an over-the-top handle, which is this type of handle. And they can be any size that will correspond to whatever size of probably a teapot that you're going to be making. You want to start out with perfect clay. If your clay is not perfect, wedge your clay. Make sure that it is a good quality, and then you're going to make it into basically a fat carrot. This is a lot more than I need. I could probably make like 3 or 4 handles off of this, but that's fine because you might make mistakes. So I'm going to start off with this, and I'm going to get water. You can do this by the sink. I just needed to do it over here. So I'm going to hold my piece in my non-dominant hand, and I'm going to milk the clay down with a wet palm. You can choose to make it flat like these ones, or more rounded. If you want it rounded, you would keep it rounded like this by moving your hand around as you go down. You'll notice that as I move, I'm trying to maintain the same thickness throughout the whole handle. So I'm slowly coming up here and working a little bit more clay into my handle. But ultimately, I kind of wanted it to be going from like a little fatter to a little thinner to a little fatter again. So I'm pretty well underway there. I'm just trying to bring a little fat part into this end. Okay, and then I'm going to just kind of finish it off, make sure that it's pretty. So I think that's pretty nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a board, and I'm going to take both ends, and I'm going to just quickly place it on the board and rip off the excess. And I want that curve that it's going to be in to be roughly the curve that I want it to set up in. Okay, so there's a really good one. Here's a couple things about what not to do. I'll see a lot of folks make one like they were making a handle for like a pitcher or a mug, where it goes from thick to a thin end. And that's just not going to work out for it looking pretty. So if you try to do that, you'll have one really big end and one really small end, and it'll be really fragile on this end when you go to attach it, and this end will be really big. So that's one of the what not to do's. And then another what not to do is you don't want to work with clay that has any errors in it. So let's say you're trying to pull a handle and it keeps breaking because there's like a weak spot. Just pinch it off there and start pulling a fresh one. That's why you have so much clay that you're starting with. Okay, I usually make 2 if I intend to keep 1, because usually there's one that looks better or is a slightly better fit. Okay, so I'm thinning out this midsection on this one a little bit so that my 2 larger ends are comparatively larger. So this is one I'm not keeping. Okay, so I can do 2. Okay, this one's kind of smaller, so think about how tall you want it to be. You want to consider, is there enough room for you to lift your handle of your lid? You know, is there enough room to get in there and clean the thing on the inside if it's the height that it is? And also, is it thick enough that it's not going to want to fall over? And that's the basics of how to make the handle. When you go to attach it, it's going to be pretty similar. It's going to be pretty similar to any other handle attachment, in the sense that you're going to slip and score both sides, and you're going to, I have to seal tool. Okay, you're going to be cutting it pretty much like that on one end, kind of going up, and like that on the other end, kind of going down. And like if this scale were my teapot, it would probably be coming kind of like that. So I would be slipping and scoring here and here and there, and then I would just take it and I would just back push it down very gently on the 2 sides to make that connection, and then I'd run a finger around in the inside to get it to the curve where I want it. This is a little bit too wet to be doing it. I would wait for it to get between wet and leather hard as the ideal stage. But as soon as it can hold itself up without starting to like dip or lean, then your handle is firm enough to attach. And that's everything you need to know about how to do an over-the-top handle.